I remember coming home and I was renting a room and just looking up and saying, like, where are the women? Like, where are the real women? Where are the real? Because I'm in spiritual communities.
Mm-hmm.
That I
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, where are the real women? And I remember starting to cry. And at that time, I'd only allow myself to like one or two tears, and then I'd stop myself and say, okay, soldier up, and let's do what we need to do. And that day, I heard, no, cry. I want you to cry. And I want you to look back on everything that you've been through. And I want you to realize that you've never been by yourself.
Mm.
This ain't your average healing chat. It's healing through conversations with me, Lovely Brown. Real talk, deep healing, zero fluff.
Hey guys, this is Lovely with Lovely Esteem, and welcome back to the Healing Through Conversations podcast. Listen, if you haven't signed up, if you haven't subscribed or followed us, you are missing some of the best conversations you could ever listen to. All you gotta do is hit the subscribe button. All you gotta do is follow, and you will receive so many blessings about healing, sisterhood, just what it looks like to walk the walk and talk the talk, what it looks like to celebrate all of your uniqueness and to hear from women who are really making changes in their lives, but not in a fake or fictitious way. We're giving you the real conversation. And today's podcast, listen, I'm listening to my spirit when I tell you this. You are about to be moved. Okay? The old you and the new you are about to connect together. Today we have the wonderfully just kinetic Sister Arike. We get to talk to a person who's not only a trauma survivor, who is a spiritual guide, who is a domestic violence survivor, who is a gun violence survivor, but she's a spiritual teacher. She also owns her own companies, and she is the owner of the Purification International Enterprises, as well as Arike's Vision. She goes into prisons, she goes into marginalized areas, and she talks to women of color to teach them about their healing journey, to teach them about seeing themselves as full people, to let them know that what they did isn't who they are, right? And sometimes when we are in the world trying to figure out what our purpose is, we can get in the way. We block our own blessings. But I promise you, when you listen to this conversation, you'll be like, she is out here knocking down doors and she is asking you questions about you so she can help you figure out what you need to do for you. I'm a little bit passionate about it. I'm gonna get myself together because I want y'all to get into the podcast. So enjoy it. Hey guys, this is Lovely with Lovely Esteem, and welcome back to the Healing Through Conversations podcast. Today, I am excited about this conversation because I was excited from our one on one. When you get to speak to someone who is ready to blow the roof off of what it looks like to be transparent, what it looks like to be vulnerable, but also what it looks like to be generous with their time, to be gracious with their ability to not only hone in on what it looks like to give people grace, what it looks like to have patience for people, but also what it looks like to be a survivor and take that trauma that they've gone through and turn it into triumph, to walk the walk and talk the talk, and then understand that we're spiritual beings, and that it's going to look different every time you change as a person. Like, we just all evolve. And being able to speak to Sister Arike and have this conversation with her about what it looks like not only to work on healing wounds, but what it looks like to pull in your spiritual self, what it looks like through intimacy, what it looks like through your emotional healing, and what it looks like to not only reach forward to the youth, but also pull your ancestors with you and look at all of the knowledge and all of the different mapping that they gave us to become these beautiful beings. It just felt so inspiring and like such a blessed conversation. So thank you so much, Sister Arike, for being a part of this podcast. But I feel like you're going to bless us so well. So please introduce us to yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I felt the same. The conversation went so well when we first got a chance to just come and vibe together. So I'm looking forward to tonight as well. My name is Arike Michelle. I was born Michelle Broadnax, and then in 2019, I did my DNA, found out that I was 98% Yoruba through my mother's side of the family. And that led me into West Nigeria and the Yoruba and just everything that I could find out about it. And about, I think actually like 2021 is actually when I was named. And I was actually named Ifabume Arike Ifabenjo from the Ifabenjo tribe out there in West Nigeria. And I was like, that's a lot. Can I just kind of start with Arike? And so that's how I kind of became Arike and how I got my name and just the beauty of that whole walk in transformation and walking backwards into who I originally was, who I originally am. So
I love that. And one, I love that you could trace your history back. Like, I'm always in awe of that simply because some of my history is just gone. Like, it's not readily available. And some of the names have changed as I've gotten older. And I'm like, that's not the name that I knew when I was younger. So I'm always in awe of that. But I'm also in awe of the fact that you took that journey because it can be scary walking into a space that you don't always know. Especially, I always try to speak for myself. I try to run into fear as much as possible because I feel like fear is my superpower. A lot of the times it's where all of my breakthroughs happen. Um, and it's not always pretty. And most of the time I lose a wig or a lash or something when it's not happening that way. But I love what you're doing and the way you are envisioning our relationships with each other as women. Can you start talking about that?
well, sure. And first, let me say that well, I forgot actually what I was going to say right there, but the relationship with women and our sisters, the sisterhood, is so vital. It's so important. And it's so off track when you look at it from the lens of what's going on in society today, the lens of what our daughters are seeing, what we are seeing, what I seen even when I was a young woman, and how it shaped me, how it made me think that this is what it means to be a Black girl. I must have the bamboo earrings and, all the ways that it shaped me. And I see that it's still that way today in society. The difference is that the lack of true love and the true essence of sisters, especially melanated sisters, is being lost. And so to have the blessing, to have that assignment on my life, to go back and to share moments and aspects of my life as a young woman that I missed, that after my mother passed away, that nobody came to show me. Okay. To be able to go back and speak life into my sisters, into the young daughters, our daughters in the community that many have just forgotten about is definitely a blessing and definitely an honor. And I've been doing it now for 39 years. And so to me, it's not work, it's life, it's a lifestyle. It's the purpose and the reason why I breathe every day. And I think that's another thing that we tend to forget because we're so tangled and entangled with this world system that we tend to forget that we were created to be able to spend time with the Creator, however you call that, or wherever your spiritual space is, and to have that freedom to do that. Because when we tap into that, love is easy. And so just being grateful to be able to be a conduit of love after all that I've been through, and to still say, you know what, and I still have love and nothing but pure love in my heart for my community and for my sisters, whether I know you, I don't know you, whether I know your children, I don't know your children. If your daughter comes across me and she's in need, I'm a safe space for her. And so that's what I think we need to get back to, remembering true sisterhood and what that really looks like, especially as melanated people, because we are a people that are very loving, very loving. We're very accepting. We're always the one that's ready to give the invitation to the barbecue. So our our innate who we are is not what we see projected, but that's what our communities are. That's what our communities have turned into. So to be able to stand and say, no, sis, that's not it. If you allow me to show you, if you allow me to walk with you, knowing I'm just a few paces ahead of you, not too far ahead of you, just a few paces ahead of you. But those few paces might be able to help you not hit as many walls as I had to hit. Had the community really been there, and had we been doing things as divinely we're supposed to do them, instead of doing them the American way, the Western way. So.
No, that's beautiful. And you hit a couple places that are near and dear to my heart. So with me, I am a true believer in, I'm one of those people, I walk in faith every day, but my, before I go to sleep and when I wake up, those are my moments where I really not only thank my spirit for walking with me and allowing me to see the day and or rest. I'm also in a space where I am always thanking the spirits, the ancestors, and God for the ability to walk, talk, for my connections with others, being able to talk to you, being blessed to receive your message. Because there was a time in my life where I used to listen to respond versus listen to comprehend, and
Yeah.
being able to sit in that and realize that so much happens when you listen to comprehend and
Yeah.
to assist and to serve. And it doesn't make you less than to serve. It actually makes you, your spirit gets brighter. It shoots higher. For me, it's one of those things where I think I was in doing research with you. It was I read somewhere where it was saying that this is not your story to tell. Like, it's everybody, it's you're there to listen to other people's story and to help guide them through their own journey. Can you talk about that?
Yes. And before I talk about that, I remember what I was going to say. And so I did African ancestry, is how I found out that I was 98% Yoruba. So just to clear that up, I didn't like kind of do like the family
23
tree
and
and
me.
going
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did African ancestry and did my DNA. So that's
Okay.
how I found out. So now the question that you had posed is, say it again, please.
No, no, no. It was a quote I think I read, or maybe a story you were telling when you said it's not your story to tell. Like,
Mm.
you sit with others and listen to their story and then
Oh,
help
right.
guide them through their story to help them figure out what their path of
Yes,
healing looks like.
exactly. And in order to do that, um, you have to have gone through some purification yourself. And so I tell them again, I'm always in process. I mean, I can't say that I've arrived anywhere. I'm still growing. I'm still learning every day, still processing. But in that process, being able to turn back around and create a safe space for a young woman where she can feel comfortable and come to me and talk to me. It's not my position to now try to tell her what to believe. It is not my position to try to tell her the things that I believe that she needs, but it's to sit and to listen and to be a guide for her, even when you know they're going down the wrong direction. So, for an example, I had a young woman many years ago who was with an abusive person. They split up. He left town, and eventually he called for her and the children. I'm going, now he's away from the crowd here. He's gotten better. Da, 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 da. Okay, this is what I'm going to say to you. I pray that everything goes well, but can we put a planning in position just in case it doesn't? Will you allow me to help you put an escape plan together just in case it doesn't go that way? And how would I know that? Because I've done it and I've been there. And I know that the honeymoon phase changes once they get you back, some of them. And it doesn't always work out. With some people it does, some people it doesn't. And so if you allow me to help you with these things, and did, and within a matter of a month or so, she needed to use that escape plan. Within 2 months, she was back with me. It wasn't an I told you so. It was pick up straight from where you're at. And what do you want to learn about that situation? What did you learn about that situation? How can we talk about that? Because here's another thing that I don't allow them when they're talking to me to tell me about what anybody else is doing or what anybody else has done. The work here is reflective, and we stay in the mirror because that's where most people don't want to be, in the mirror, long enough to actually go through the purifications, long enough to actually stand with what you say you believe, not what anybody else believes, but what you say you believe, and stand in the mirror until you work that thing out, until you're actually living what you say that you do, what you believe, because that's another disconnect that we have. We have a lot of people proclaiming to live spiritually. We have a lot of people proclaiming that they are anointed, that they are gifted, that they are this, that they are that. And unfortunately, that arrogance of that ego causing so much havoc in our community that it's not just that the police are shooting us. It's not just that we're shooting each other, but religion is the other space right there, spirituality, where we utterly destroy one another instead of allowing each other to be who we need to be so that we can get our spiritual strength. As people of color, I say, when do we get to heal? Because the one thing we can all agree on is that we are the chosen. We are definitely in tuned spiritually. And so if that's the only place, now think about how you feel when you're in your spiritual space. Maybe you've gone through so much and you're in your spiritual place and you get your breakthrough and you want to come and you're like wanting to share it. And here comes somebody kicking down your altar, telling you you're nothing but a demon. Why? Because you don't adhere to the same thing I adhere to. But if you would remove that and look at the character, you would see that the character of the true spirit is very similar in no matter what sect that you want to rep. And we don't look at that because we're too busy looking at things from a world view, from a Western view, and not the divine view, not the view from Eden that we're supposed to have, which is why we need that purifications process, which takes us to the mirror. But a lot of people don't want to do that work because that's where you have to look at yourself and can't blame anybody else. And that's where true spiritual work, if you ask me, takes place, because it was when I actually was applying what I said I believed, the principles of it, how I conduct myself, not just on certain days or around certain people, but what about at work? What about when I'm driving to work? What about you know what I'm saying?
Come on with it.
Come on now. Come on now. What about all those things, and these influences that we don't even know that are surround us that keep us away from our true divine self. And so with me, it is creating a safe place together, but always tell them, this is about you. I don't hear about nobody else. What lesson did you learn? What is spirit trying to tell you? And because that's what you need to work on. And I can actually remember when I was going through the different stages that I had to go through in my purification. And there's a time where people were just doing me wrong, and I was slaying them back with nothing but facts. But it wasn't the fact that I did anything wrong, but spirit said, look how you addressing it back. Yeah, you're right. And everything you're saying is right. But look, what's behind them words? What's the truth behind those words? You can be right about everything. You can put as much scripture, you can do whatever you want to, but what is really the intent behind the words? Now, and because you quick on the draw and already hit send, now you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to make amends to people that hurt you. Because guess what? It's not about them, sweetheart. I'm trying to teach you something. And in order for you to hear me, I need to know that you hear me. So go do it.
Listen. One of the big things, especially when we spoke before, and I do infidelity. I talk about infidelity and confidence rebuilding. Okay, infidelity recovery. You know how many words you can say with great intent and know what you really want to say out your mouth. And confidence rebuilding, right? Learning how to build yourself without ego. That's really hard, because when people hear confidence, the ego starts waving in the corner like, hey, I'm right here. But one of the things that I'm always expressing is I'm here to help you find your healing journey. I'm not here to figure out why he did it, why she did it, why they did. I can't tell you that because I'm not them. But I can tell you that when I work with you, I want you to hear your own voice. I want you to learn how to cut out and really tune into your intuition, tune into your spiritual self. And that spiritual self is going to sound very different throughout your journey, right? Because when you are in your spiritual healing and you are learning how to purge what your mother said, purge what your uncle said, purge what your community said, that healing sounds very different. And you may not even recognize who you are in certain parts of this, because you're going to be looking around for validation. You're going to be looking around for somebody to say to you, hey, you did it. Spiritual work don't work like that. Nobody tells you that you did it. You just have to, you're just holding on to that little float, and you're going down the river, and you're hoping that you can stay on float to get to the next place. So like, what would you say to a woman right now who doesn't see herself as worthy of, like, without sacrifice, who doesn't understand that she is a divine creature and she has a place in her spiritual healing?
One of the first things I know that I did, because nobody was coming to rescue me, and I realized that the majority of the things that I thought were toxic. We're just toxic. Love, sex, relationships, friendships, everything. And so one of the first things I had to do for myself was determine what type of a woman is it that I'm supposed to be? Who, what, how, how does she conduct herself? And and so I had to go to what I believed at the time and study everything from my conduct. And because of that, in being intentional I tell people I let true love court me before I really truly understood what true love's essence was. And so that meant in the morning time, that divine time, you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes between 2:30 and 4.
Mine is 3:30. 3:30.
You waking up. And so it became, you know what? We're not just going to lay here in the bed. We're actually going to go and brush our teeth, wash our face, and act as if our divine partner is here, right? And that divine partner for me became my spiritual guide. And so through being intentional in the morning time and spending time, even just 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. This is just our time, not asking for anything. I just want to let you know that this is my time with you. If you want to say anything, just speak. Because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know where else to turn. Everything that I had turned to was temporary. Love had an agenda. It didn't matter where I went. It didn't matter how far up the ladder I got. It didn't matter. It seemed as though pseudo love would always switch cards from what I thought was true love, and also I end up with a pseudo love card. And so it got to the point where I just didn't know, and there was no older women for me to sit down and ask. So faith became my teacher. Show me the conduct. Show me who I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do, and not only for myself or a man, but my children, the community. Who am I? Why am I here? And it was through that courtship that I started to gain strength. I started to, when I would come home from work, I remember days when I used to come home from work and be like, "Hi, honey, I'm home," and nobody there, just my divine self. There was times when I was at work and I was pressed. You know how they like to press us, especially women of color. We can't speak loud or we're threatening. And so there were times I go in and I would just put tissue down in the stall, put tissue on the floor and just kneel down and say, "Okay, I'm gonna need you to talk to me right now."
Real talk.
Right now.
Real talk.
Real talk. Right now. Because, and it was just really infusing the spirit first. We do so much worldly first, and we don't even realize, even when it comes to business, that I've done business with so many people that were supposed to be spiritual, but when you look at how they conduct business, I don't see divinity anywhere. It's that rat race. It's that get that money. It's that da-da-da. But yet, and so spirituality is so different than religion. It's so much different. And what comes with it, the essence of it, the power of it, really brings forth transformation. And to be able to, again, be blessed to say this is your real occupation on this earth.
Right. Right.
I'm like,
there ain't no words. Now you just beatboxing because you're like, I want you to know.
I'll take it. It's also funny when I left corporate America in 2009, when everything was crashing. I'm in California, and I knew it was time. I knew it was time for me to surrender everything, my finances, everything. And it was time. And so I remember that day when I walked out of my career and I just looked up like, okay, like this is it. Like I have nothing. I'm away from family because I live in California and I'm from Massachusetts.
Mm.
I have no support system out here. We just literally got to the top of our career where we're now getting ready to start making big money.
Mm.
And you told me give it all back, walk away. After all that I've been through, surrender, walk away because I have something for you. But before I can give it to you, I need to show you some things and I need to really teach you some things. And I need to pretty much make you a clean slate.
Mm.
And so, with all of my studying and my titles and all that I was doing back then, I surrendered and I gave it all back. I said, I know nothing. Show me.
Mm.
It was in October of 2009 when I walked away from corporate America. And 2017 is when I walked away from the Western beliefs on anything and said, I need to be taught everything over again.
A rebirth, a rebirth, a rebirth. So,
Rebirth.
which brings us into now the teachings that not only you have absorbed for yourself, but how you have started to really revolutionize and connect with sisterhood and women internationally.
Yes.
Because not only did your spirit say, we're not going to hold you by your title, we're also not going to hold you by gravity. We're taking you
Yeah.
into places and spaces that really need your healing spirit. So talk to us about the 5 S's in the C model that you created.
The 5 S's in a C, that's me, was written in 2011. And it came from a space, again, everything that I've written comes from a space of being quiet and just praying. And that day I happened to be having a little breakdown. Like I was in my 30s and something had happened. I'd already left corporate America and the rumors were flying all over town about what I was doing because people see me on the street with the prostitutes because that's the work that I went back to.
Mm-hmm.
Went and got the babies from sex trafficking and foster care that were being turned out. And so they just forgot all about who I was, I guess, and see me there. And, rumors got flying. And, I remember coming home and I was renting a room and just looking up and saying, like, where are the women? Like, where are the real women? Where are the real? Because I'm in spiritual communities,
Mm-hmm.
not on
Mm-hmm.
the street.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, where are the real women? And I remember starting to cry. And at that time, I'd only allow myself to like one or two tears. And then I'd stop myself and say, okay, soldier up and let's do what we need to do. And that day I heard, no, cry. I want you to cry. And I want you to look back on everything that you've been through. And I want you to realize that you've never been by yourself.
Mm.
That every time that you said you couldn't and you didn't want to get out of that bed and things that you were feeling at some of the darkest moments, and then you got that surge to just and get through it,
Mm.
that was me.
Mm-hmm.
Not you. It's never been you. That was me.
Mm.
And I've always been here. And now it's time. And I need you to cry. It was shadow work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Going back and looking at everything from the time I was a little girl and all that I have been through. And Then I heard get a piece of paper and write. And I began to write. Then I heard get another piece of paper and get another piece of paper. And I'm just writing. And when I was done, I had a book, a workbook, and an instructor manual. And that's 5 S's in the C. That's me. Each S represents a healing module of something that I had to learn in my younger life. S, number one, set apart, understanding the reason why it couldn't fit in, absolutely could not fit in anywhere, was because I had a divine purpose and a divine call on my life. And so I share with them because most of them are, or feel as though they're the black sheep of the family. They're the ones that, don't really get along with other sisters. And I explain to them that sometimes we purposely don't fit in, because if you fit in, you wouldn't be here with me right now. Learn all the beautiful things that you need to learn about yourself. The second S is single. And here we talk about what it really means to be single, because the world really has it twisted. And just because we're single doesn't mean that we drop our panties every time somebody winks at us. Just because we're single doesn't mean that it's a curse. It's actually protection and a time for us to do some correcting for those that might not have had that mom when they were younger to teach them about themselves, teach them about hygiene, teach them that, okay, you're taking a shower, but are you washing your clothes? Because if you're not, then your clothes reek. It's taking the time to really teach them life things that they don't know about every day, things that they don't know about, that I didn't know about. Um, it also talks about the responsibility of women being receivers in HPV and have them go do a paper on HPV and cervical cancer. And so that's as single. Then we go into sophistication. And sophistication with us, it has everything to do with eloquence as how we speak, how we conduct ourselves. It has nothing to do with what we wear or labels. It's about speaking, because one of the things that I realized that even I myself have went through was sounding like a sailor and thinking that that's cute, cussing every 5 seconds. Me and my girls calling each other B words. And, it's again, nothing's changed. You see the same thing in generations now. So it's about showing them, let's not talk for where we're at, but let's talk for where we're going in life. And changing some of those words. And it's not always about what you wear. And then the next S is sassy. Sassy has a couple of parts in it. Sassy is where we talk about our appearance. And it's not about telling them, hey, go get a brand new wardrobe, because many of them can't. But it's just about showing them another way of sex appeal without they're being shown in the world. I tell people we don't get in a burlap bag and like, no, I love we were given these hips and dips for a reason, baby. Okay. But there's a way that we can present that is actually more sexual and more sensual to a man than what is being shown in the world. I also this is when we talk about our house, our environment, how we live in. And I teach them about clutter and how you really cannot create in clutter. And then this is also where, when we have chapters and we're close by, that we learn one another's triggers. And so we go help one another. If you come, I'd like to tell them, when I was younger, if you came to my house and stuff was all array, probably even now, right? And stuff is out of place, something's not right with me. How much I'm smiling. I don't care how much I'm saying I'm okay. When you come to my house and you see that, know that there's something not right with me, because my house tells on me. And so we learn one another's triggers as well, so that because as women, we don't always ask for that help. So that's what our sassy is. And then fun, right? Let's have fun. And it's not always about how much money can we spend. If we're in a certain area in group, let's come together. Let's go to the park. Let's go to the beach. Let's put the kids together. Let's make sandwiches. Let's do something fun. And then S is satisfied. Here we talk about finances, getting our finances in order, getting our credit in order. so that now we have all of the 8 dimensions that we need. And then we go into C, which is cultural, where we just talk about remembering who we are, the truth of who we are, and some of our history of wonderful Black queens and those that have done things from all over the diaspora, just to remind us. And that's 5 S's in the C, that's me. The personal development, and then we do 120 something hours of entrepreneurship. But this is the most important part, because this is the part that binds us and binds us for life. And so we've been doing this for a long time. Some of the girls started with me at 14. Little Queen, she's 32 now, and she's coming back as a facilitator. Ashley was 17. She's 42 or 41. She's coming back as a facilitator. Rashami came to me right out of college 12, 13 years ago. And so the beautiful thing about it is you don't age out. This is really community. This is how we live. And now we're just saying, hey, we want some more sisters to come and to learn the truth, and then go back and open a chapter, go back and be that beacon light in the community, go back and show them what it's really like to walk spiritually first and see the results of true transformation without anybody demonizing anybody, you know?
Yes, no, seriously.
Yeah.
And one, thank you so much for what you are pouring back into people. But I also, one of my callings in this world is to connect with women, particularly Black women, very much so women of color, and create safe spaces for us to have these conversations. Like, this podcast would not be what it is if I didn't have my 3:30 calls, okay? Because my 3:30 calls usually come with hot flashes. All right. So I'm in the middle of the change while I'm in the middle of being told
Yes.
to change, right? So you're pivoting in the
Yeah.
middle of when your hormones at the peak. I get my messages,
Yeah.
and I always think to myself, you would give me the message as sweat is falling off my body. Really? This is my time right now? Like, this what we doing? But that's how this podcast came to be. This is
Yeah.
it's how I have gained courage to reach out to people, to see value in the things that aren't spoken about, right? Because for me, being able to speak with you is the blessing. It's not what you've gone through, it's your words, it's your encouragement, it's you being open and courageous in a time where you're told to really be meek, mild, and stay in your place, to be in that corner. And the work that you're doing inside of prisons, the work that you're doing in marginalized communities, the work that you're doing in areas where people are afraid to sit down, right,
Yes.
and sit with people, is, to me, that's where teaching happens. That's where real work happens. And if you are a person of belief, you understand that if you are in the Christian space, where did the Lord sit? Who did he go sit with? He didn't sit with the rich. He wouldn't sit with the people who really needed to hear the word, who really needed the encouragement, right? And I think that for me, that is what I see in you. That's what I see when I close my eyes and I hear your words. It's the encouragement of, and how sacred the relationship that you have with Black women. It is absolutely one of the things that I admire the most about you and the work that I've seen and read about you. So can you talk to us about your teachings inside of the prisons and how
Yeah.
some of that work have come about?
Well, I'm in St. Kitts right now in the British Virgin Islands, and I actually came to heal. And my stay was 6 months, down to my last month right now. And about, I think, a month in, I was like, let me call the government and tell them who I am and what I do. This is just who I am. Like, I literally have traveled all over the United States, got in my car, and this is what I do. Every time I get to a new state, I call the mayor, I call, the nonprofits. I just thrust myself into the community to let them know what I'm doing and that I'm here. And so it was just the same thing. Like I started asking people, who can I talk to? Who works with women? Are there any NGOs, which are nonprofits internationally? And I got in touch with the secretary of the Minister of Social Services and Gender Affairs. And that was on Monday. They asked me to come in on Thursday, and I was in the prisons by that following week. Not only did they open the prison ministry to me, but then they also opened the domestic violence unit, and just the other day, the teen moms. So what I'm doing is I'm actually teaching from my curriculum, the 5 S's and the C, that's me. And the big thing seems to be the chapter on pseudo love versus true love.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to really be enjoying this, so they're asking me to teach. So that's what the same thing I've been teaching for each cohort that I've been teaching since I've been out here. And I'll tell you, I have did PAC meetings in America for men. I've been in the men's prison teaching men, and I've always wanted to get into the women's side. Many years ago, in Sacramento, they were getting ready to start a program where they wanted to mentor women when they come in to prison rather than waiting when they leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how this big board found out about little old me, but they did. Next time I was at this table with all these titles and degrees. And I'm like, how did y'all find, like when they're going around, I'm like, how in the world, why am I here? And they were like, we're here because we hear what you do, the work that you do. And we would like for you to write the mentoring program for us to
Mm-hmm.
initiate this. And before I could even, get back home, they cut the funding and it never went anywhere.
Mm.
Um, there was another time where I worked for an organization as the liaison for sex trafficking for juvenile hall and for Superior Court. And when I went, and we did something called pre-court, where everybody goes in before everybody comes in. And it was just, I was the only person of color in pre-court, all the attorneys, judges, and everybody. And they're talking about these people. And I remember going to the lady training me, man, they don't care about these people at all, like whoever these people are. Well, when we left the courtroom, I found out who those people were, because they were all now lined up ready to go in for court, and they were all sisters from one end of the courtroom down the hall to the other. And there was nobody representing them that looked like us.
Mm.
And I have a way of making sure I look very cultural when I walk into places like the courthouse. So when I'm walking, I got the gala and everything on, and I'm walking and they're sitting and they're just looking up at me and I'm looking down at them, and I'm just like, wow, how can I help them? And when I went back to the job, I said, what are we going to do? And they said, nothing. Why? They cut the funding. I said, why would you send me? They said, because we knew you would do something about it. Oh, geez, thanks. Right. So getting into the prison for me has been something that I've really been trying to do and wanting to do, because I know in there, it's a place that a lot of people aren't coming. And if they are coming, unfortunately, they have an agenda to try to change them or sway them or make them believe something, all this stuff. And so being able to get to the least of them, being able to get and to go to those places that I myself once have been,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and to go back. But nothing could prepare me for the women's prison abroad. We have it really good in America. when I walk through the men's recreational thing to go up to the where the women are, it is, and especially with the heat and just it, we as crazy as America is, we are definitely blessed. But going inside the prisons here in St. Kitts, and I've also been contacting prisons back in America. It's very difficult to do things in America. I've been pressing for a long time, especially in Massachusetts, where I'm from. The Merrimack Valley area was only like 3 or 4% Black still to this day. And there's no programs out there for us still to this day. And they smile and say, yes, sure, yes, we'll do it. Yes, yeah, we're going to help you. And then that's as far as it goes. So to come here after been pressing for so many years to say, you know, you all talking about trauma informed. This is the most trauma informed program I know. This is the most trauma informed program I know, designed specifically for African American women, something that you all do not have. Even going through the training for peer support and all these things would tie into the prison, because in the peer support movement under the trauma informed, they need people with lived experience to be certified. And now you can actually have a job, but that's not getting to us. We don't know about that. And then those that do, they go to take the class. Those classes really don't speak to us. And so now we're code switching in the class because most of the time there's only 1 or 2 of us in the class. So is it really truly healing for us if we can't even really say what we want to say? So this is another reason why this program and this was developed, to give us a place we can actually come and say what we need to really say, stop having to code switch, because even no matter what they give us, corporate, if you get to corporate and you go on the retreats, how many of us are really in the room? So again, our situation is different than your situation. And so, but you expect us to use these tools that don't work for us. And they have not worked for us. And so, you know, this work in what I do and going into the prisons and bringing this work to them so that they can not only be prepared to come out, but also have a pathway back to success and to know that this doesn't define you. We all make mistakes. Let me tell you something. I tell them the only reason why I'm not behind bars is because I didn't get caught. There's many people out there that should be behind bars, but we ain't got caught. We got grace, you know, for certain things, you know, especially when I was younger. And I actually did, you know, go to local jail all the time because of my anger, you know. But like I told them, you know, it doesn't define you. Where you're at doesn't define you. And true love will set you free no matter where you're at. And that's what they need to know. But they need to know that they have to work for it. They have to know that it's not somebody else going to come and do the work for them, but they have to really want it. And the first thing they got to do is understand who they truly are divinely.
And, you know, this kind of a full circle conversation. So when we first spoke to each other, you told me about your background in domestic violence and your background in being a survivor of gun violence and how it led you into spiritual healing, right? And somebody would think to themselves, wait a minute, what? How did that thing here, where I could hold on to the victim mentality for so long, turn into this walk of transparency, this walk of openness, this walk of compassion, but also this walk of don't get this wrong. She will pull you up if she needs to make sure that you like this voice that is soothing will also turn into the voice of reason when I need to be assertively aggressive because I see you walking in a space that in the light that you weren't that you didn't set for yourself. If you told me this is the kind of woman I wish to become, and I see you trail from that,
Right.
I'm still coming for you. Like, I
Yeah.
still want that woman to make it.
Yes.
And I feel like your past has truly, I was having this conversation yesterday. We go through so much and we don't realize that. I don't always like to say the soldier or the chosen one because it feels so superficial in today's world, right? But it's honest to goodness, the wording, because they're trying to show you through your eyes, through the work that you have to do to get to this space right here, to get to 2025. They're trying to show you what it looks like to walk the shoes of somebody that you would, if had you not walked through that, not even understand, right? And I think that your past, your history with being a survivor is really one of the tools that you pull from so much to be
Yeah.
able to help these women. You don't have to dive super deep if you don't want to, but can you just give us a little bit of your history?
Well, I tell people it started when I was in the womb. Literally, my mom had to stay in bed like 7 months in order for me to even be born. So whatever it has been trying to stop me has been trying to stop me, but before I even came out the womb. And that seems how life has kind of been. Um, molestation, drug addiction from my molester put me on drugs at a very early age. Um, because of that, I began to equate sex with love and
Mm-hmm.
found myself in all types of abusive relationships, whether I was the abuser or being abused. Um, losing my mother, who was my closest confidant and the only person in the family, female, that loved me unconditionally, and lost her, had some babies, um, just a lot, a lot. And really what turned my life really around was me at 18 seeing another young lady on the street that lived next to me, little Spanish girl out there with kids looking miserable every single day. And I went out there and started talking to her. And I remember giving her encouraging words. And that's when the boomerang effect. I didn't really know it then, but later on, I realized I called it the boomerang effect. As I spoke those words of empowerment to her body language changed. And her
Mm-hmm.
shoulders kind of went down and her head kind of went up. And I realized as her body was doing that, so was mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I kind of was like, helping other people helps me. Helping
Absolutely.
other people helps me. Um, and so that's when I really try to start changing my life and helping other women. Really, that's kind of how it all happened, and helping other women. So life has not been easy, but through it all, again, that spiritual connection that I have
Mm-hmm.
came at 8. And I heard something in my ear just we were talking right now. And I was shown a vision. I was all in white, and there was all this healing and all these women around me. And I heard the voice say, "You always have to talk to me. You always have to listen to me." And even in my darkest moments, even when I was going through drugs and all the experimenting and stuff that I was doing as a young woman that was getting me in jail and other things, I could hear the voice.
Mm.
But when I started to get my life together, I'm like, if I could hear the voice when I was in the pit of hell, I listen to the voice now.
Yeah.
But what happens is after years and years of this, like, it's real. And I tell people this, when you really surrender, it's real. You don't get away with just doing any old types of thing, and you don't get elevated until you really have passed those tests. And it's all about our character. It really truly is. And after going through all the things that I've gone through and finally get into the place where, hey, I left work, years have passed, been broke, been homeless, doing all these things, listening, and now I'm finally in a place where I'm living back home with my dad. Dad says you don't have to pay nothing. I just got a contract to write a book on domestic violence and intimate partners in the Black community. And so that's a big contract. And I still got all these hours in the day. So I'm like, well, I'm at Dad's. I could really be stacking right now. So I go get a little job as caretaker on the weekend. I'm like, no, let me go back and do a little bit more. So I went back, got a job working with brain patients, and decided not to listen to my spirit, decided to be disobedient, and went to somebody's house I wasn't supposed to go to, ended up being shot 3 times. So I don't know. I forgot what you had asked me.
No. But you're walking us through your walk, though, right? Like
Are
you're
you
saying,
frozen? And I'm sorry, that's a part of the that is a part of the brain injury that I have. So sometimes I'll just go and won't remember till a little bit later, but that's part of my new life, and it's okay, and I'm
and it's
I'm
very
okay with
okay.
that.
It's
But
Look, I'm
yeah.
going through perimenopause, and I can promise you that in the middle of a conversation, I will stop and say, you know that thing that has wheels? And
Yeah.
my husband's like, what are you talking about? You know the thing with the wheels and it goes round and round. It's like, are a
Yeah.
truck? Are we talking about a car? Is it a bike? And to get to a place where I remember, and then I had to stop being embarrassed about it. I'm like, I'm just getting older. And the blessing is that I'm getting older. Like that's the blessing, because there's a lot of people who never made it to where you are.
That's right.
The gunshot was the end, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that you're here telling us about your story in detail,
Yeah.
and still moving, and still breathing, and still being the heartbeat of so many different places, that is, to me, when we talk about what miracles look like, we talk about what it looks like to not survive, but to thrive, right? Because you can survive a lot of things and still be in survival mode and never make it out.
Yeah.
But there's a different, you walk different when you thrive. Like when you were explaining how the young girl's shoulders went down a little bit and her head went up, she got a taste of thriving.
Yes.
Because that taste of thriving becomes addictive when you're in that healing stage, man. You just be like, what do I need to do to stay this thirsty for the thriving part of my life? You know, and I think that, like what you were explaining, even what you explained to me, after being shot, you literally went on turbo boost.
Yeah.
With your ideas of like, oh, you thought you were going to take me down this time?
Yes.
And next. And again.
Yeah.
Here I am again.
Yes. And that's like I came out the hospital like, okay, bet. Let's go. Let's go. I'm not playing small no more. Like I'm not playing because, I was content with doing what I've done on a smaller, hey, I'm doing what I said I was going to do. I'm helping young women. I'm okay with that. But I know what he gave me. I know what I have. And it wasn't just for me and 4 or 5 young women, or just the few women that this is something that needs to get out. And I look at the disobedience. Good things, bad things happen to good people. Yes. Be obedient. I tell people all the time, sometimes when you live like this and you're not around other people that are spiritually first, you start to doubt yourself. You start to think that maybe I'm just crazy. Why am I this way? How come nobody else seems to be this way? How come nobody else like your spirit's not talking to you? Like you just did something foul. Your spirit ain't saying nothing to you, because I can't seem to do nothing without it being right in my ear right then. And the young ladies, they'll tell you, because I'm very transparent, one of the young ladies, we were doing something, and I like kind of halfway snapped at her, and my spirit said, "Now you know that was nothing but jealousy." I said, "I'm not gonna tell that girl." "Yes, you are. Yes, you are." I had to turn around and tell her, I said, "Girl, that was nothing but jealousy. I apologize, but that was the truth of the matter is I was jealous in that situation." And I had to humble myself and I had to tell the truth because that's how my spirit gets down with me. You heard me? Like, and I'm telling her, and I don't want to be telling you this. I told the spirit I wasn't going to tell you, and here I am telling you.
And here I am telling you
I told
anyway.
spirit no. I told spirit absolutely not. I
And
am not
spirit
going
said, ha 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 ha. Yep.
you
Push
know.
you forward.
So yeah, so now I'm just like, you know what? Death, death made me come back because I
Mm.
shouldn't be here behind this assignment. So I can't be worried about what anybody says or what anybody thinks. I'm here with the message to provoke people about true spirituality, about things that we're really supposed to be doing in our community for each other, with each other, and helping one another. And it doesn't look like what we've been doing. It doesn't. In the majority, there's a minority base of us that needs to come forward so that things can change.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's no longer time for playing. And also, I get the end result of every spiritual tribe that you can call. I get the domestic violence calls for all of them.
Mm.
So
Say that again.
ain't nobody out here doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Every last spiritual tribe that's out there, from Christian, Hebrew, Moors, all of them. I deal with all of them and all of these women, and they're all have been through something. And so let's stop demonizing one another and let's learn some things about one another so that we can actually grow. And that's where I think that we get it wrong, and we've been getting it wrong for so many decades, is looking at the debates and pulling each other apart
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, okay, you know what? Because had we did that in the first place, we wouldn't have been in the trouble we're in now. But we didn't see each other as sister and brother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we rather negotiate with a whole nother nation and sell you down the river. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been doing this to one another, and they still use our own community to keep us sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They still use our own community and use a little bit of wealth for just a few to keep the rest of the masses. So it's time, if we really want to see something change, we must come into our spiritual self, which means we must be allowed to get powered up. And here I allow you to power up, because here I don't teach you what to believe. I teach you how to get still, how to purify yourself, so that you can be in a position to hear, because every last one of us have a real reason of being here, and it
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with a 9 to 5. It
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with a 9 to 5.
Look, listen, the funny thing that happened. So when your camera froze and you got your download, my spirit always talks to me in sound waves. That's my spirit. It talks to me in sound waves and colors. So you had your vision and I got my ring. My ring always tells me this is the prayer for right now, right? And I do my prayer and then I keep talking. In the middle of everything that's happening, I always do my thing, right? And I had to stop thinking that that was strange in order for me to look at myself as a divine person.
Yeah.
But it humbles you because you're so right. You're in today's society, it's still a witch hunt. What do you mean what do you mean you see, oh, you
Right.
must be a savant? I'm not a savant. I'm just me. Like
Right.
whatever
Right.
that
And
me
stop
is.
trying to label me.
Yeah. Whatever
Stop
that
trying to
me
label
is,
me. I don't
that's
even know
just
what I
me.
am yet. Stop it.
I don't want to know who I am because that means I'm at the
Right.
end of this journey and I still have a lot of work that I need to do. But
Yes.
I think that you're so correct in the learning how to sit still and hear your own voice, because we're all so afraid. You at the beginning of that journey, it's afraid, you're frightened because you innately know when it's your voice and it's not your voice. Even if you can't find your voice, because your voice doesn't tell you that you are trash. Your voice doesn't tell you that you're not worthy. Your voice doesn't, that's not your voice. That's someone else's voice that you have interpreted, and you've now learned how to do tranquility, or whatever the word is that I can't get my thought together, but you've now learned how to speak their language. You've taken on their way, their culture, instead of finding your own culture, and I think that that is the hardest part for so many people, because when you surround yourself with validation from others, that's the skill set that I never developed. And it can be lonely when you think like that. I didn't need validation from others, but I had to learn how to, as you said, power up on the skill sets that I was given, right? Because I used to think to myself, why do you feel like you don't belong in this room? Why do you, when you walk into a space, you either get goosebumps, you either get a spiritual calling, or you get the, this isn't a space for you, and you need to turn around and walk away. The 2 times in my life that I didn't listen to that, I regretted it wholeheartedly. So when my intuition be like, I don't like this space, I'm like, are we talking in fear? Or is this a spiritual calling? I had to think to, because we all have trauma we've gone through. But sometimes it's fear. It's the fear of being rejected. It's the fear of the unknown. It's, it's that, it's being a business owner, even if you are an entrepreneur, and sending that first message to someone in their direct messages that, hey, how are you? You don't know me, but, and you were funny because you said, oh, I'm going to be on your podcast. Like, there was no, can I be on a podcast? You said, I'm going to be on your podcast. So, like, send me whatever I need to send so I can be on there. And I said, you know what? You're going to be on my podcast, because come through. Tell me what to do. I like it. Give it to me. And I think that, like, even when we had our initial one-on-one, the conversation was so warm, but not in a fictitious, like, oh, it's another Black lady. No, it was like, you hear me. I hear you. Yeah. You see me. I see you. And we are on way different we're not together. We're waters apart. We're waters apart. It was raining that day, which is like one of my favorite pieces of weather, when it rains. And she was like, oh, you would like it here because it is raining.
Let me tell you, I am so thankful it's not raining right now, because, and I was worried about that because we've been having some really hard rain. And so when it rains in here, you literally hear it because it's tin. The roof is tin.
Yes.
So when it storms, it sounds like the roof is getting ready to fall in. So I'm like, oh, please don't let it. This is the only thing I'm like, please don't let the weather, be raining, because you would definitely be hearing it. So I'm glad that tropical rain is not happening right now.
No, but I want you to know that not only do I appreciate you, I'm so grateful that I've met you. I love how you are loving on us, because we need it. I love that you have decided that you don't have a choice, just so you know that. I mean, I'm sure you know that, but just so you know that you don't have a choice but to be the face of, because we need more faces that look like us to talk about this, right? Because I think for far too long, when we hear about etiquette, when we hear about being women, it is never looked at through the lens of a Black woman, because the perception of a Black woman is this loud, obnoxious, violent, aggressive, over the top person. And I can promise you that 90% of the Black women I come across are not those women. They just aren't those women. Some of us have been, we get stuck in different stages of our lives. But when you talk to a woman who knows herself, she doesn't raise her voice. That's just not even who she is. And it's not even a whitewash. It's spiritually who she is. I am one of those people who have always walked in reputation. When I leave a room, I want my reputation to be the same when I'm not in that space. So when you talk about etiquette, when you talk about spirit, when you talk about knowing yourself, when you talk about being confident in yourself, it has nothing. I mean, my outwardly appearance, I love it because I love being a woman. I love having the option to change. But
Right.
who I am in my spirit is who I'm divinely meant to be. And that didn't happen overnight. I had to learn how to do that. And
Yes.
you giving people the option to learn from someone who has had to face their own trials and tribulations is, you are setting people up for, like, you cutting 10 years off of, 5 years off of that toxic relationship, off of, you are doing work that, like, I know you know, but you need to know. Somebody needs to validate you and give you those flowers as well. The work that you are doing, on top of just having such a beautiful smile, because you be giving us, you be cutting us and being like, smile like she gave us that. But no, seriously, I'm so grateful that you have given me your time and your energy, and that you've allowed me to absorb that and hear from you and receive the message. Because
Yes.
sometimes we get stuck in our purpose and we forget to receive the blessings that come back from that. That boomerang
Yeah.
rank effect, as you said.
Yeah.
And I want you to really, like, hear that and breathe that and absorb that while you're over there still doing so much beautiful work. Could you have like 30 days left or something like that there?
Yes, I'm going to the prison this Thursday. They just called me today. So can you come to the prison this Thursday? I say yes. I have the prison twice, and then on the 30th, I'm going back to domestic violence, teaching them on triggers from a melanin perspective, and
Mm,
then sound therapy for
mm.
them.
Oh my goodness, you just triggered a thought for me with regards to that. The melanin,
Yeah.
honey, honey, that is a class for you, because
Yes.
that's different. Because
Yes.
we're taught that that struggle love, that
Yes.
you can't have a relationship without fights and without it being this angst, and which when you talked about pseudo love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how people make the assumption that in order to be loved, it has to be loud and
Yes.
aggressive and the
And
spiritual
rough.
part of, and rough, and the spiritual part of that has to only be on Sunday morning when you go to church,
Right.
right? And I'm like, you need to understand that your spirit should be in this relationship 24/7. It should never dim. It should
Right.
never dim.
And also teaching, which we don't talk about enough, is the spiritual side of sexuality.
That's what we were
Nobody
going to talk about. Please.
nobody wants to talk about that. But and when you don't talk about it, only thing that's left is the animalistic side. And so
Mm-hmm.
then you wonder why that's why this is what everybody's doing. And again, it comes out away from who we truly are, our nature, and what the act is meant for, and how powerful the act truly is. And even in the word, if you want to go back to that, it says, do not tempt or touch love until it's time. Don't mess with it. And people don't understand that people are killing each other nowadays over love. You have women that are hurting each other because we don't want to listen to one another, and we rather listen to a lying man who's manipulating us and not listening. How many sisters would be not in abusive relationships had they just listened when they said, hey, he used to hit my friend, or hey, he used to beat me? But it's always something wrong with the sister because we're listening to them. And all of that has all the makings of pseudo love. But when it comes down to that act, that physical act, that act that is brings us to the closest thing to being God, because in that act we create life, right?
Mm.
How powerful is that act? And if you would learn, and we had learned the sensual side of it, the sexual side of it, that spiritual, and how to use that orgasm to actually now speak life into each other. That if
Mm-hmm.
your mate is sick, that there's a certain position you can put them in and do certain things, but we don't want to talk about that. but we want to talk about all, and see all the gyrating, and everybody got their booty out and everything else. And so it's just all the animalistic side of sexuality. And people are scared to talk about, hey, there's a spiritual side of sexuality. Yes, there is. And it's powerful. But who's teaching it? Who's talking about it? It's shh, shh, but it's
You
not.
teaching it, you talking about it, you coming
All
back
this,
and doing another podcast about it. That's what we gonna do. You gonna come back and do a whole nother podcast
I'm
about
like,
it.
all this hushing though ain't stopping them babies from getting pregnant in the church. For
Okay.
getting pregnant in the high schools. So if all we're talking about and all we see is the animalistic side, we wonder why the world is so crazy right now. And people really think that this is love. It has nothing to do with love. Nothing to do with love whatsoever. And before we go around sharing our bodies, we damn well sure need to know about our bodies and the capabilities really of our bodies, and what that, in the power in that, and the connection, and who you're connecting to, and why are you connecting to them.
Listen.
And do we really have to be married to connect?
Listen.
Ooh.
Listen, did you see, you just said, you know what, I'm about to throw a flame and then I'm gonna just go on about my business. That's what she said. Don't you start no fire. And now we try to, I know what this is. That's one of them, you know how at the end of, like, you know, when you're looking at like How to Get Away with Murder, and then like it ends and you're like, well, what just happened? What happened is she just set herself up for a part 2. She's about to get stalked again. That's what's about to happen. But no, that initially was what this podcast was going to be about. But I'm glad it didn't start off that way, because we got to know you on such a deeper level. Because sometimes I feel like in order for people to receive the message, they have to trust you. And in order for people to trust you, they have to know that it's not a gimmick. This is not a game. This is not something I'm doing just so you can sign up for my coaching class. Like, that's not the thing. I want to see you do well. I want to see you feel well. I want to see you heal well, because there are toxic ways to heal. There are toxic ways to heal. And some of us get stuck in those toxic positivity relationships where we think because we did yoga 2 times and we learn how to meditate and we can say I is smart, I is pretty, I is kind. We think because that's where we are, that somehow the healing has happened in that 5 to 10 minutes. And healing is until you die. And when your spirit goes wherever it lands, it is still working on healing. It is still working on healing. But I'm so grateful that you did. First off, don't you ever end it like that again. Cause I'm like, you literally said, oh, Lee, you want me to come back. That's what you said. And I said, I did say that at the like 5 minutes ago, but yes, because did you just say, do you have to be married to feel that way? I'm like, one true here was the only way we can figure out is if you teach in a class.
Energy.
I'm just saying, like, but again, like you said, we scared to talk about it, because when you talk about it, you have to think deeper. You have to go deeper into yourself. And I have a girlfriend that is so dear to me. She lives in Florida. And this is one of her spaces where she be digging deep. She asks you a question and like, you be in the middle of eating. What did you say? Okay, explain. And that to me that's sisterhood. Somebody bless you with knowledge that you didn't know before, but they give it to you in a way that you're going to understand it. And that's what you are out here. Please tell us how to reach you, how to keep in contact with you, how to sign up for newsletters, things like that.
Well, I'm actually rebranding at the time. My branding will be ready, my website and all that next week. But you can follow me on LinkedIn at Arike, Arike. I think it's Arike's Vision.
Yes.
Yeah, Arike's Vision. YouTube, I'm just starting my YouTube channel, Arike's Vision 25. I'm on TikTok at Arike's Vision and Instagram at Arike's Vision. So yeah. But everything, like I said, is just really getting started. On my YouTube, I think I have like 4 videos that are just introduction for my online class. I decided to leave those, live.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'm gonna start doing some more things. Again, like I said, before I was shot, I kind of was playing small and I was okay with that. And when the ancestors, took me and had a little conversation with me, I realized, listen, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow.
Mhm.
And I'm blessed. I mean, this right here is a screen saver, but that's literally what's outside of my front door, my
It looks
door.
better than that outside your front door.
I'm
Like
like, it's literally, I'm like, I
St. Kitts is
literally,
gorgeous. It's at
people
the
don't,
people were gorgeous. The
people don't
people.
understand that it's difficult at first when you first strive to walk by faith. But let me tell you something, I don't worry about money. I have not worried about money and I don't know how long, and like I said, and then also before we end, I lost everything when I got shot. I lost the living with my dad because I couldn't walk and it had all the stairs. I had to end up getting somewhere else to live. I just got home, so I had nothing. And I was not living in the East Coast. So I had no winter clothes, no nothing,
Mhm.
nothing. The job that I was just getting ready to start, I had only been at the second job for like a month, and I was getting ready to start that third job that Monday. I got shot that Friday.
Mhm.
And so um, when I got out the hospital, I literally had to start from scratch again. And so what I've done is I've taken my victims compensation fund and I put it into my nonprofit so that the young ladies who are coming to facilitate can start with something. So they're marketing. So that's why I'm doing the revamp and doing everything now,
Mhm.
so that they're really set up because I'm going off now to build a spiritual retreat center in somewhere. Hopefully, Jamaica's my next stop. And hopefully I can get that so that I can bring my sisters and y'all can come and sit for a week and put your cell phones up and that we can really do. I don't want, it's not no conference. It's not no people talking to you. It's going to be completely different. It's really getting back into nature and one another. It's
Mhm.
really some modalities that will really bind us together because the biggest thing for me is staying together. It's okay, I can come to a conference, but I'll never see you again till the next conference. What good is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I have done and what I have proven can be done is that we can actually stay in community, whether we're in the same state, city, or even the same, part of the world, that
Mhm.
we can actually still stay weekly in community with one another, and we can actually really build a thriving community. So, we've done it, we've been doing it, and now we want more sisters to know about it. And there's a way that they can actually earn income for doing it. But right now, I just want them to know. I just want y'all to come. So the first, I think, first cohort, we're not even charging anything for it. We're like, for the babies who are 18 through 24, come,
Mhm.
just come, just come.
And they can find that information on your LinkedIn page.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
See,
and www, yeah, it's the bios on the LinkedIn page, www dot purifications dot space // online course. And if you go to that page, it's just the online course, it's not the whole organization,
mhm.
but I will tell you all about the course.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. Like, you see how even as we wrap this up in the pretty bow that we have at this point, you still were able to pour into others. Like that is my if you followed me for years, that is my thing, to pour into others. And it doesn't take away from me pouring into myself, because I had to learn that in order for me to be able to give this, I have to give it to myself. I have
Yeah.
to, as I always say, I bring my inner children with me because there are multiple ones and some of them are still wreaking havoc, but they are running amok with me as I get to enjoy these kind of conversations and being able to have this kinetic energy, because kinetic energy doesn't care where you live.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It just is. As
Yeah.
divine as we just are. Kinetic energy just is. And I am so grateful that I got to talk to you today. I'm also grateful that I'm locking you in for a second podcast. I'm just saying, because you're not going to drop news like that and then like tap out. We gonna have a little baby conversation because people need to have these conversations and they need to
Yeah.
see people who look like us having these conversations. It's not, we're not keeping secrets. It's not something that we keep in the house. We are absolutely standing out on the front porch and at the park and having these conversations.
And not caring who doesn't like it anymore, because look at our community. It's time. It's no longer time, like I said, to play small or, to worry about anybody else's opinion. Like I tell my girls, if what people are saying about you doesn't line up with what you know and divinity tells you, it's none of your business.
None of your
Leave
business.
it right where it's at. Don't even try to go and respond. Took me years to learn that. They say this about you, girl. What? Girl, what you say? What? No, girl, let them say what they want to say. What you say? I'm gonna drink water and mind my business.
And I drink water, mind my business, and get some vitamin D because that's
Yeah.
what I am absolutely interested in. In any form that I can get it, is I'm like, I don't have time for it. Like the Lord
Right.
didn't put me here to be arguing with you on a cell phone that I
Hey,
paid
nobody
for.
got time. Nobody got time. Do what you're supposed to be doing, because I'm damn well doing what I'm supposed to be doing. If I know anything, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing for real. And because of that, my life looks different. It does. It looks very different. But I'm at the place where, after all the pain, I still landed on my feet, you
Mm,
know, all of it. I landed on my feet. I have, like I tell people, forget who he had a limp in his side for wrestling with the angel to remind him, right? I said, well, I have a still knee to remind me that when my spirit says something, absolutely listen. Absolutely listen, and know you're not crazy. And yes, you need to listen. And it is what it is. This is who you are. Accept it. You are called, you are chosen, you have a mark on your life. So accept it. Like I'm not out here trying to be a guru.
yep.
Like, like I don't know. I just wanna, like I said, just do what's supposed to be done. Because I don't know about you. I'm tired of living in this world. I mean, our kids are shooting us,
I
you
want to
know?
hit the button. I actually hit the Men in Black boot button several times. In
Honey,
the,
listen,
if you could just,
part of me when I came back, I said, why? Why? Like I really seriously, like
I
I really
know, I
would have been
know
all
you did.
right, not thinking about, nobody else but myself, but like what's up? But now that's where it's like, okay, I'm back. Can I live the same? I can't live with fear. I can't, come on. I done took 3 bullets. I'm like, I can't live. I can't worry about what other people think is spiritual. I can't worry about, listen, I'm going to do what I need to do. And I'm going to speak to whoever's going to let me speak. And I'm going to serve whoever's going to let me serve. And I'm going to make space for whoever's going to let me make space for them as they make space for me. Because that's another thing, is it's time for me to have my safe space as well.
Hello, speak on it.
So,
And I want to say this in conclusion. A real guru isn't looking to be a guru.
yeah,
They're just here serving.
yeah.
That's a real guru. A real guru is, if a person has to tell you they're a guru, that's like the person who's telling you they cool. They not cool. That's
Yeah.
just the way a person sounds out. We thank you guys so much for being a part of this podcast. And we look
Yeah.
forward to talking to you guys again. Y'all be good. Bye.
Bye.
I just want to say, I told you so. That's it. It's not too much more I can say about this woman because I wanted to give her her flowers while we were having this conversation. There's sometimes you meet a person and you're like, you it. Tag, you it. And she was it. When I talk about being authentically you, when I talk about what it looks like to be a soldier in this new order of understanding and healing, this intentionality, what it looks like to find compassion, self-worth, to be self-reflective, but to do it all with patience and grace and kindness, to be able to be positively aggressive, but also know that you can be assertive and still get your point across. She out here teaching. And let me tell you something, the end of that podcast, she set this up. This is my mocktail with my fruit in it. She set this up because she said, do you have to be married to do it? Nobody's prepared for that. But she promised she was going to come back on here. Yes, she did. Sister Arike said, I got you, sis. And I said, locked in. Don't play games with me. Remember, guys, we are learning how to articulate our feelings, wants, needs, and desires so we can better advocate for ourselves and the people that we love. And is Sister Arike advocating for the people that she loves? Yes. She might not know you right now, but when she meets you, when she talks to you, when she communicates with you, you in her tribe. So don't forget to join her tribe. Look her up. Find out more information about her. Yes, it's going to be in the bio. Yes, it's going to be inside of the description. But be intentional about your growth because she is intentional about helping you grow. And that to me is chef's kiss. Lovely out.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you found some healing, connection, and joy. Until next time, bye, loves.